Well, I got the BC600 XLs going today. It's running really rough. It's actually running like shit. Either what happens to this thing is the motor's sitting outside all year. We have a piece of plywood over it all summer, but I was worried about the weight of the snow breaking. It sits on this little breather, which is just cheap plastic. You know what I need to do is bolt a piece of pipe or something to come up around, have it come up. And I shove the plywood in that crack in there, comes over, and it completely protects the engine from, heavy rains, or the sun does more damage than the rain, I think. So we'll get that on next time I get a chance. I think the wires are starting to crack, so they need you can buy a can of, it's like shellac or something. You just spray it on there, and it'll protect the rubber from the water going into it. Could be that. This tree here fell down last summer in a windstorm, so it's been bugging me all winter. I've been snow blowing a path over here once in a while, so I can get at it over the winter, but now it looks like spring is here pretty much. It's snowing today, but I'm doing this. Not enough to go out and plow or anything. I thought I'd go over. I want to do a video on, I got a new tool yesterday, so I want to do a tool review. But, before I do that, I should go over the stuff you should have with you when you do tree removal. Because I just knocked this small elm tree down. But if you're doing big trees, I got a bunch of big trees coming up. Like that guy over there, that's probably about 18, 20 inches. That's a big tree. You do not want that going the wrong way, so we'll do something like that today. Well, this is the first thing. I'm kind of in need of a new hard hat. My screen's all kind of wrecked, but I try and squeak out as much as I can out of everything I've got. These things now are about $55, $60. So there's the first thing you should have with you. I bought this cheap cable a few years ago. I've got two of them. It's about 50 feet. It's not quite long enough, but it's manageable. A 100-foot cable would be a real pain to try and roll up and so on. And I've got these little locking hooks, so this can lock back on the cable and it will not come off. Here it's open, and to close it you can just it's a grab hook. It's designed for a chain, but it works fine on the cable, and I use that sometimes if I'm really pulling hard with the backhoe or pickup truck or anything. A rope can break, this won't break. So I use that. I hook a couple of 25-foot chains on, and I've got I think I've got about an 80 or 100-foot chain. I use that sometimes. Yeah, and felling wedges. There's an old one. I just bought a bunch of new ones. I'll show you those. I always have rope with me. Now, this rope I got out of the garbage somewhere. It's too short for anything, but sometimes you need just a little short rope. Pull a branch out of somewhere that's stuck. 2-stroke mix. There's something you should have. I just buy them by the 4-liter jug here. It's 1 gallon roughly. And this is for 50 to 1. And I just fill up. I keep these old little bottles. I reuse them. So these are 200 mils. And it's nice and clear right here. So I keep about 6 or 8 of these. I'll fill 2, 3, 4 up at a time. I put them right at 200 mils. And then the cans I use for gas, they're up here. They're marked very clearly. I need to remark this when it fades off, but that holds 2.5 US gallons. You can see it right there, or 10 liters. So stick to just metric. I think everything is metric, and even in the States now. So you get yourself 200 milliliter bottles, 10-liter can, and that works out to exactly 50 to 1. So you do the math, you divide by 2, and you got 100 mils to 5 liters. You knock 2 zeros off each. That's 50 to 1. So I don't know why some people have a real hard time figuring out. See right there, it's written right on the bottle. If that'll focus. 10 liters with this bottle. So it is not complicated to mix your own gas. But I'm telling you, I'm thinking about buying the metal cans pre-mix. It doesn't have any they just increased the percentage of ethanol in gasoline. So I'm not too crazy about that. That stuff is what wrecks all your rubber, and so when you're storing a machine over the winter, you know. Oh, here's another tool. I'll pull that out. So does anybody know what this is called? I made this out of a piece of an ironwood tree that I cut down. And it's yeah, this handle will probably outlast me. These will last 50 years, these handles. They won't break. This is called a cant hook. So it's for rolling logs. It's a great way to handle wood. Big pieces of wood. And you know, it never hurts to have one of these. When you're in an area where you can't really, it's really hard to get in, you can pull this out and use it. It's a lot safer than the chainsaw. If you're working near chain link fence or something, this is a great thing to have. A pair of loppers and a set of these. This little buck saw, that's what it's called. Most people don't even know what these are called anymore. I think I've had that since I was 9 or 10 years old. Well, my dad got me that. And now, because I'm older now, I graduated up to the adult version of it. So these can be filed. Keep that oil, that saw blade clean, no rust on it, and oiled up. And you can file all those teeth, and I mean, these things really cut. Whenever I have a new guy work for me, which I hardly hire anybody anymore, but if I'm up in a tree and I got a guy with me, and I don't think he's ready to use a chainsaw, this is all he really needs. So when I'm in the tree, I'll try and cut all the wood so that he can put it right through the chipper. But the odd branch won't go through, so you just make the odd cut with this. These really cut. Okay, here's the last thing. Last couple of things you should always have with you. Always have an axe. I prefer these fiberglass handles because, first of all, your new guy won't break the handle the first time you give it to him to use. And the second thing you should have is a backup chainsaw. If you're cutting trees down and you're somewhere and that's all you have is one chainsaw, you're going to get caught one day. You'll jam the saw and there's no way to get a saw out of it. If it's leaning on another tree, if the tree is pinched on the saw bar, the only way to get the saw out of there is unbolt these two nuts and take the motor with you and leave the bar, because you won't get it out. So you kind of have to have a second chainsaw or a buck saw. You got to have something with you. So, you know, some things people don't think of, but I've been there. I've been stuck. And of course, gas and oil. There's the light chain oil. If you're using the wrong oil, and in the cold, well, really only in the cold, really cold weather, if you're using the heavy oil, you'll strip your nylon gear. A lot of these saws have a nylon oiling gear. It's inside. It's in behind the bar here. And the oil would be too thick for the little pump to pump. And it'll strip the gear and you'll be buying all the parts. So it'll ruin your day. And of course you want mixed gas. I already mentioned that kind of. And then right in this little compartment here is where I keep my my felling wedges. I just bought 4 brand new felling wedges. These are 2 big ones. I think they're 10 inches. Then I got a couple of small ones. Medium and a small. When I'm taking a really big tree down, I'll use them all. I'll use 6 or 8 of these. You can just hammer them in every 4 or 5 inches, and you can literally you can push the top of the tree over. There's one that's near the end. It's been hit by the chainsaw. That's why they're plastic. You never want to use a metal one, unless you like buying chains. And I've got some wooden ones here. This one's not very good. Kind of desperation. They get hit too. They split. I make a lot of wooden ones. If I find a nice piece of elm, or this is buckthorn. This is kind of orangey. Buckthorn, elm. What else? Ironwood make really good felling wedges. There, this one's been hit by the chainsaw. So I think the end of last summer we were down to this bare bones. One nice plastic one and a bunch of pathetic looking wood ones. So it's kind of why I bought 4 new ones. And I'll show you another little trick I do. When you are cutting down a spruce tree, you can easily make one of these little mallets. I call it a caveman hammer. And this has got me out of a pinch a few times. You're away in the forest, you're 300 yards from the truck, and you forgot to bring the axe, or you didn't have enough hands. By the time you bring a gas can, jug of oil, your chainsaw, and a couple other things, you can make your own wedges, and you can make one of these out of a piece of spruce. If you got a dead spruce laying on the ground somewhere, that's handy. I think I'm going to cut this handle a little shorter, and I'm going to put it right in the front compartment. And if you lose it, it's like no big deal. And this thing will really hammer. I mean, it'll really hit. So it'll drive a wedge right in there. Little things that help me out. Thanks for watching.